Can do it. Maybe just one or two people answering.
Okay, I'll be really quick. I'm Stuart Watson. I'm your Greens candidate for Lyne. I've got a night off tonight. If I could just make one real quick comment to Les. We might be 1.2% of the world's carbon emissions. There are 37 countries that produce less than us, and they make up another 50% of the world's emissions. So an eye for an eye is not going to have a planet package living. I was going to ask about Adani, but I would not dare to ask Les what Clive Palmer's opinion is on it. What I will ask is about electric cars, and I'd like to ask Rob what your movement would be on electric cars, and I'd like to ask the Labor member what his movement would be on electric cars, given that Norway has got 50% of new cars being purchased are electric. Can we in the next 11 years, with the Labor's target, catch up with Norway? Thank you.
Very quickly, I think the market's moving. Everyone, since that announcement was made, has been online showing off all the different options around the world. I'd probably take a view that it's not necessarily a government policy issue, but more a market option, but I think that market is moving quickly. We do need to build infrastructure in this area more than what we've got. Huge irony that our colleagues in the National Party are having their $50 a head functions at Cassegrains when the electric charging station is right next to them as they're bagging electric vehicles, because that's where our charging station is locally. But we do need to build more of a network. I think the market's going to move pretty quickly, and I don't have a problem with that. Let the market decide.
We're the only OECD country that doesn't have zero emission support.
I said earlier that government should provide particular services that benefit everybody, and we have no car industry in Australia at the moment, no manufacturing industry. My view is that the government should buy the plant back, 51% controlling interest and the balance on the ASX, because markets are not just going to get up and say, oh, we're all right, we'll build electric cars in Australia. They're all pulled out and gone elsewhere. We don't own them. They're not ours. So Australia needs to buy Australia back and set up our own car manufacturing plant, which we control and we own, because it benefits everyone in the community.
Excuse me. Okay, so let's talk about electric cars for a moment. So Labor's target for new car electric sales is 50% by 2030. That's 12 years away or 11 years away. And when that happens, the actual car fleet in the year 2030 will be 15% will be electric. So 50% of new car sales in 2030 will be electric, but only 15% of the entire car fleet will be electric at that time. And by 2040, 100% of cars sold in Australia will be electric cars. And Labor's picked that target up where from? The current government. It's actually from the Australian Renewable Energy Agency report of December last year, forecasting electric car growth in Australia. And that's where those numbers came from. And I know a little bit about electric cars. I actually own one. I own a Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, and I've got a battery on my house. I've got green power. I've got solar on the roof, and I actually, between the house and the car, save about $5,000 a year in petrol and household electricity. So I can vouch for how good electric cars are. And a lot of people say, well, are there going to be charging stations here and charging stations there? Forget the way you get petrol now in your car to charge your electric car. It's a totally different story. I have a car charger at home. You'll have a car charger at work, right? It's not going to be like you go to a Shell garage and get, X kilowatts of, power just plugged into your car and you wait there for 20 minutes or anything like that. It's just going to change totally differently. So it's coming, and I just made one very, very example of how the technology is changing. Remember when mobile phones first came out, they were the size of a briefcase? We're only talking, that's 25 years ago or thereabouts, and now look at the size of a mobile phone today. Same with electric cars, a lot lighter and a lot more efficient as well.
Very good.